Ladies and gentlemen, as we stand at the dawn of a new year, a new chapter, and a new season, I came to tell you that the greatest power you possess today is the power to change your mind. You can change your clothes, change your job, change your environment, but nothing truly shifts until the mind is renewed. Transformation doesn't begin with what's around you. It begins with what's inside you. There are battles you have fought, mountains you have climbed, and storms you have survived, yet the greatest fight you will ever face is the fight in your mind. It's the voice that says you're not enough. It's the whisper that tells you you're stuck, broken, or finished. But today, on this new beginning, I speak to every doubt, every fear, every insecurity, and declare, you have the authority to think differently. Some of you have carried old thoughts into new seasons. You're asking for new blessings while holding on to old beliefs. You're praying for new opportunities while thinking with old limitations. But hear me, you cannot step into a new year with the same thinking that defeated you last year. Your thoughts are soil. Whatever you plant will grow. If you sow doubt, doubt will multiply. If you sow faith, faith will flourish. This is the hour to uproot fear and plant faith, to release yesterday and embrace tomorrow, to stop rehearsing the pain and start cultivating the promise. You are not defined by where you were. You are defined by where you are willing to go, and that begins in your mind. If you change your thinking, you change your decisions. If you change your decisions, you change your direction. If you change your direction, you change your destiny. Don't wait for life to shift before you shift your thinking. Sometimes life is waiting on you to make the first move. This year, determine that you will not be imprisoned by old beliefs. Your past is not your prophecy. Your struggle is not your identity. Your mistakes are not your future. You have the power right now to speak life over your mind, to declare purpose over your thoughts, to align your thinking with who you were created to be. Today, a new chapter begins not because the calendar changed, but because your mind changed. So rise up. Stand strong, believe again, dream again, hope again, because when the mind shifts, the atmosphere shifts, and the future opens. This is your moment, this is your season, this is the year your mind changes and everything else changes with it. Transformation begins within. Before anything around, you can evolve. Something inside you must awaken. You can rearrange your furniture, change your phone number, move to a new country, or surround yourself with different people. But if your mind remains the same, your results will stay the same. Many people spend their lives trying to fix what is outside of them when the real war is within. The inner world shapes the outer world. The seeds of progress, the roots of purpose, grow from the inside out. Real transformation starts when you acknowledge that your current way of thinking has taken you as far as it can. The thoughts you cling to, fearful, doubtful, limited, can only produce the level of life you are currently living. If you want more, think differently. Change doesn't come because we wish for it. Change comes because we shift how we see, how we process, how we believe. The moment your perspective changes, your actions begin to change. The moment your actions change, the world around you responds. Many of us are fighting symptoms instead of sources. We try to modify behaviors, control environments, or force outcomes. But we never confront the thoughts that generated those situations to begin with. Bad decisions come from broken thinking. Great decisions come from renewed thinking. When transformation begins in the mind, every area of life begins to align. your habits, your relationships, your choices, your emotional strength, and your spiritual resilience. You can be placed in the right position, surrounded by the right people, given the right opportunity, and still fail because your mind was never prepared to receive it. The mind is the gate. If the gate is locked, the blessing cannot enter. A person with a closed mind cannot experience an open future. But when you allow transformation to start within, when you let new truths enter and grow, your life begins to reorganize itself around clarity, conviction, and courage. There comes a time when you must pause and examine the beliefs that have been guiding your life. Who told you what was possible? Who planted the idea that you couldn't rise, couldn't change, couldn't break through? Sometimes the greatest breakthrough comes when you challenge old narratives, stories that no longer serve you, fears handed down by others, limitations you adopted without question. Transformation is born when you begin to question the lies you believed about yourself. The mind is powerful. It can be your greatest servant or your worst enemy. The same mind that can talk you into success can also talk you out of it. The same mind that can imagine victory can also fantasize defeat. The direction of your life is determined by the direction of your thoughts. If your thoughts stay small, your life stays small. But the moment you allow yourself to see differently, to believe differently, possibilities begin to unfold. Transformation within requires honesty. It requires looking at yourself not with shame but with courage. The courage to confront broken patterns, self-sabotaging habits, and emotional wounds you never healed. It means facing yourself without running. It means accepting responsibility for what you think, because what you think eventually becomes what you do. The process is not instant. True inward transformation is gradual. It begins as a whisper, a realization, a moment where you sense an inner stirring telling you that there is more. More within you, more ahead of you, more calling to you. You may not see the change immediately, but the roots are forming underground. The mind is being rewired, expanded, awakened. And as the transformation deepens, clarity increases, strength increases, peace increases. You begin to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles, lessons where you once saw losses, preparation where you once saw pain. The moment transformation begins within, destiny begins to unlock. Your steps align, your voice strengthens, your potential rises, and life begins to move in harmony with what is happening inside of you. Real transformation is inside out, and once it starts, nothing outside of you can stop what's happening within you. Your thoughts construct your future long before your feet ever arrive at a destination. Your mind arrives there first. Every breakthrough, every accomplishment, every triumph is conceived in the mind before it manifests in the world. If you think with defeat, you will live defeated. If you think with hope, you will move toward brighter tomorrows. The mind is the architect, the blueprint, the compass that directs your life. You cannot build a life that your thoughts have not prepared you to receive. You cannot walk into a future that your mind has not accepted as possible. What you repeatedly meditate on becomes the material from which your life is shaped. Thoughts are builders. They construct beliefs, and beliefs establish behavior. A person who believes they are capable will attempt what others fear. A person who believes they are powerless will surrender before the battle begins. Your internal dialogue is more influential than the opinions of others. The voice in your head is the engine that drives your decisions. If that voice is filled with faith, you will move with boldness. If that voice is filled with fear, you will shrink away from opportunity. There is a reason some people remain stuck while others soar. It is not simply about resources, talent, or connections. It is about mindset. Two individuals can face the same obstacle. One sees a dead end, while the other sees a challenge waiting to be conquered. What you see in your mind determines what you attempt with your hands. Life follows thought. If you can train your mind to see purpose in the storm, strength in the struggle, and possibility in the problem, you can rise above circumstances that once intimidated you. Whether you realize it or not, your thoughts are constantly building. They are laying the foundation for who you are becoming. When your mind is filled with fear, insecurity, and negativity, you unknowingly build a future that limits you. You move cautiously, dream smaller, and live beneath your potential because your inner dialogue has convinced you that greatness is not within reach. But when your thoughts are cultivated with hope, purpose, and conviction, you begin to walk toward life with expectancy. You start preparing for possibilities rather than preparing for failure. The future responds to the climate of your mind. When you expect good things, you begin to make decisions that align with growth. You learn new skills, seek new relationships, and allow yourself to imagine more. But when you assume that nothing will improve, you stop striving, stop building, and stop dreaming. The future in many ways is not an accident. It is a harvest, and your thoughts are the seeds. There is power in recognizing that every thought is a vote for the person you want to become. Every thought either fuels your courage or feeds your doubt. Every thought either strengthens your faith or empowers your fear. Your future becomes clearer when your thoughts become disciplined. When the mind is focused on purpose rather than distraction, the path ahead becomes easier to navigate. You begin to identify what serves you and what hinders you. You learn to silence the inner critic and amplify the inner champion. Your future is not only influenced by what you think, it is activated by what you consistently think. A fleeting, hopeful moment is not enough to build a new destiny. Transformation requires repetition. The mind must be trained like a muscle. It must be flooded daily with intention, renewed repeatedly with truth, and guarded carefully against negativity. This is not denial of reality. It is alignment with possibility. The mind must be held to a higher standard than circumstances. Circumstances change, but the beliefs you nurture determine how you rise or fall. Even in moments of uncertainty, when life is unpredictable and unstable, the thoughts you maintain will determine how you endure. When your mind sees opportunity where others see despair, you become unstoppable. When your mind remains anchored in purpose, you can withstand storms that were designed to break you. Your thoughts are the lens through which you interpret life. Change the lens, and the same experience takes on an entirely different meaning. Your future is calling. The question is not whether you are capable. The question is whether your thoughts have made room for the future that is waiting for you. If you want a greater life, start building it in your mind, because the future, your future, is constructed one thought at a time. Release yesterday to receive tomorrow. There comes a moment in every life when holding on becomes heavier than letting go. So many people are trapped not by what is happening now, but by what has already happened. The memory of failure, the echo of disappointment, the sting of betrayal. These things build invisible prisons around the heart. You want to move forward, you want to dream again, but yesterday keeps whispering in your ear, trying to convince you that tomorrow has nothing new to offer. Yet the only way to fully step into your future is to stop dragging your past behind you. You cannot carry what was and receive what will be at the same time. Your hands must be free. Yesterday has lessons, but it was never meant to be a permanent dwelling place. It is a teacher, not a landlord. The past can guide you, but it should not confine you. Too many dreams have been buried under memories of what went wrong. Too many people stay stuck replaying old moments, rehearsing old wounds, and reviving old grief. You cannot rewrite what has already happened, but you can refuse to let it write the next chapter. The moment you release yesterday, you break the agreement you made with pain, and you make room for renewal, for healing, for growth. Every new season requires a new mindset. What served you then may not serve you now. The same strategies, the same relationships, the same thinking that helped you survive another time may not help you thrive today. There are seasons where you must detach from environments that feel familiar, but no longer feed your spirit. You must release people who once walked with you but cannot follow you into the next level. Not every separation is loss. Sometimes it is preparation. The past will try to keep you comfortable, but comfort is not the place where destiny grows. Destiny grows in surrender, in trust, in courage. Letting go does not mean forgetting, it means freeing. It means acknowledging what happened, learning from it, and deciding that it will not control your identity. You are more than your mistakes. You are more than the relationships that failed, the opportunities that slipped away, the years that felt wasted. Even the most broken chapters can give way to beautiful beginnings when you let go of the narrative that tells you life ended there. For every ending there is a beginning hidden beneath it. Every closed door is a sign that another is opening, if only you are willing to turn toward it. The heart cannot receive while it is clenched. Some are praying for new blessings, but holding onto old bitterness, hoping for new love while carrying old heartbreak, asking for new vision while clinging to old beliefs. Life cannot pour into a vessel already overflowing with what no longer belongs. When you release what is behind you, you create sacred space for what is ahead. You create emotional room, mental room, spiritual room. Room for miracles, room for purpose, room for change. Often the hardest thing to release is not what hurt you, but what felt familiar. We cling to yesterday not because it was good, but because it was known. The unknown feels risky. The future feels uncertain, but uncertainty is the birthplace of possibility. You cannot discover new territory while gripping the shore. True transformation requires that you trust the process of becoming, that you walk forward even when you cannot see the whole path, that you choose faith over memory. Release yesterday. Release the regret that tells you what you should have done differently. Release the shame that tries to convince you that you are unworthy. Release the anger that drains your strength. Release the fear that keeps you hiding. Release the comparison that steals your joy. You cannot welcome tomorrow while entertaining yesterday's voice. Tomorrow is not waiting on your perfection. It is waiting on your permission. The moment you release what was, the future begins to unfold. New opportunities emerge. New strength arises. New connections appear. The next chapter of your life is ready to be written. It just needs your willingness to turn the page. When you let go of yesterday, you don't lose yourself. You rediscover who you were always meant to be. The battle is in the mind. Long before you face a challenge in the physical world, the struggle has already begun within your thoughts. The mind is the arena where fear and faith collide, where doubt and destiny wrestle, where weakness and strength wage war. Many people think their enemy is outside of them, a circumstance, a person, a setback. But the greatest opponent most will ever face is the silent battle happening inside their own head. Victory does not start with what your hands can do. It starts with what your mind is willing to believe. Every great accomplishment begins with internal alignment. Before someone builds, they must believe. Before they take action, they must settle the argument inside that says, "You can't, you're not enough." The mind will tell you 1,000 reasons why you are unqualified. It will replay old failures, magnify insecurities, and remind you of every wound you've carried. If you allow those thoughts to anchor themselves, they will convince you to stay small, stay silent, stay still. The enemy doesn't need to take your resources if he can take your resolve. If he can weaken your thinking, he can imprison your future. There are people with great talent who never rise because they lost the mental war. There are others with fewer resources, fewer opportunities, fewer advantages, who soar because they trained their minds to think higher. Battles are won not by strength alone, but by strategy, and the strategy begins with protecting what enters your mind. The thoughts you tolerate will determine the life you experience. If you entertain defeat, you will walk defeated. If you nourish fear, you will live timidly. But if you feed your mind truth, faith, and courage, you will be able to stand when others collapse. Many of the limitations we face are not real barriers but mental ones. A locked mindset creates a locked life. You can have doors open for you, but if your mind is closed, you won't walk through them. You can have opportunities arrive, but if your mind is filled with fear, you won't pursue them. Freedom starts inside. The chains you may feel around your life are often chains wrapped around your thoughts, chains of doubt, insecurity, and old narratives that tell you you can't change, you can't grow, you can't win. But the moment you challenge that voice, the battle begins to shift. The mind is powerful because it creates agreement. When you agree with defeat, you give it permission. When you agree with faith, you give it power. There will always be opposing voices. They show up before every breakthrough. One voice says, "You've gone as far as you can." The other says, "There is more inside you." One voice says, "You're too broken." The other says, "You're being rebuilt." The question is not whether the voices exist. The question is which one you choose to believe. Strengthening your mind requires discipline. It requires guarding what you listen to, what you watch, what you repeat to yourself. You cannot fill your mind with negativity and expect a positive life. You cannot meditate on fear and expect to walk with boldness. Your thoughts must be trained like soldiers, taught what to attack and what to protect. When discouragement arrives, the trained mind speaks truth. When fear whispers, the disciplined mind stands firm. When doubt knocks, the renewed mind refuses to open the door. The battle in the mind is not won in an instant. It is fought daily, but every day you choose faith over fear, conviction over insecurity, progress over paralysis, you grow stronger. Your thoughts begin to align with purpose rather than pain. You start seeing challenges as opportunities to build strength rather than reasons to quit. And as your mind changes, your life begins to change. You make decisions with clarity, speak with confidence, walk with courage, and live with expectation. The mind can be a battlefield, but it can also become a sanctuary. When you train it, when you guard it, when you renew it, you transform the battleground into a place of peace. And once the mind is won, the world outside of you must fall in line. Because when you conquer the inner war, the outer battles no longer intimidate you. The victory begins within. Faith moves through thought. Before faith becomes action, before it becomes courage, before it becomes a testimony, it first takes shape in the mind. Every belief begins as an internal whisper, an idea that says, "It is possible, I can, I will." That whisper may start small, barely noticeable, but when it is nurtured, it grows into conviction. Faith is not just something you feel in your heart. It is something you allow yourself to think, to imagine, to accept as true even before you see it. Thought is the soil in which faith takes root. If the soil is polluted with doubt, fear, and negativity, faith struggles to grow. But when the mind is open, expectant, and aligned with possibility, faith begins to flourish. Faith does not deny reality, but it refuses to be limited by it. It sees beyond what is visible. It looks at a broken situation and still expects healing. It sees a closed door and still believes another will open. It hears impossible and responds, "Just wait." But for faith to operate at that level, the mind must first agree. A divided mind cannot walk in faith. If your thoughts are filled with fear while your lips speak belief, nothing changes. Faith becomes powerful when your thoughts come into alignment with what your heart dares to trust. The mind is where faith is built or broken. Every challenge you face comes with two invitations, one to fear and one to faith. Fear imagines failure, humiliation, and defeat. Faith imagines breakthrough, growth, and victory. The future you step into depends on which invitation you accept. Faith is a choice, but it is also a practice. It must be exercised daily. It grows as you continue to feed your mind with what strengthens it. Truth, hope, purpose. Just as a muscle strengthens through repetition, faith strengthens through consistent mental agreement. Some people never see the fullness of their purpose because they have faith in their heart, but doubt in their mind. They believe a little, but fear outweighs their belief. Their thoughts tell them they are unworthy, unqualified, and incapable. And no matter how much potential is inside them, those thoughts choke it. Faith is like a seed. It carries everything necessary to grow into something powerful, but it needs the right environment. The mind must become that environment. The mind must become a place where faith is welcomed and nurtured. When your thoughts align with faith, your entire life begins to shift. You speak differently, you walk differently. You make decisions that reflect expectation rather than hesitation. You stop shrinking around small possibilities and start leaning into bigger ones. You walk into rooms believing you belong there. You take steps without needing to see the entire path. You move forward not because you are fearless, but because your thoughts have accepted that faith is stronger than fear. Faith-filled thinking produces courage. It gives you the strength to begin again after failure. It gives you the determination to keep pushing when nothing seems to change. It helps you see purpose where others see pain. When faith governs your thoughts, you understand that obstacles are not signals to stop. They are invitations to grow. You start believing that every setback contains a lesson, Every challenge contains wisdom. Every delay carries protection. Nothing is wasted and everything is shaping you for greater. Faith is not passive, it is active. It changes how you interpret your situation. Two people can face the same storm. One gives up while the other gets stronger. The difference is not the storm itself, but the thoughts that shape their response. Faith-filled thought tells you, this storm will not break me, it will build me. It tells you that the valley is temporary, the night will end, and the sunrise is on its way. Even when life feels uncertain, faith speaks to your mind and reminds you that you are not alone, that you are guided, that purpose is still unfolding. It quiets anxiety and strengthens endurance. It anchors you when everything around you is shaking. Faith gives stability in unstable environments because the confidence it gives does not come from circumstances, it comes from conviction. When you allow faith to move through your thoughts, you unlock your ability to dream boldly. You give yourself permission to imagine more, to expect more, to reach for more. You stop thinking from a place of scarcity and start thinking from a place of abundance. You stop believing that life is happening to you and start believing that life is happening for you. Your thoughts begin to rise, and when your thoughts rise, your life rises with them. Faith begins in the mind. If you train your thoughts to believe that greater is ahead, greater will come. If you allow your thoughts to agree with fear, fear will rule. But when your thoughts align with faith, doors begin to open, strength begins to grow, and your life transforms from the inside out. A new mind unlocks new opportunities. Life is constantly offering pathways, doors, and possibilities. Yet many people walk past them because their minds are still tied to old patterns. The greatest breakthroughs do not start with a change in environment. They start with a change in awareness. When your thinking shifts, your vision sharpens, you begin to see what was always there but never recognized. The world does not suddenly transform. You do. And once the inner shift occurs, life begins to unfold in ways you once thought were out of reach. A closed mind sees limitations, an open mind sees potential. Your mindset functions like a lens. When the lens is clouded by fear, insecurity, or complacency, everything looks restricted. You become convinced that the path forward is narrow, that opportunities are scarce, that life has already decided your boundaries. But when the mind is renewed, those same circumstances look different. Suddenly, what once felt impossible begins to look attainable. The same job becomes promotion worthy. The same idea becomes business worthy. The same skill becomes purpose worthy. The difference is not what you have, it is how you think. The opportunities we crave are often blocked not by lack of ability, but by lack of mental readiness. You can stand before an open door and never walk through it, because your mind tells you that you do not belong there. You can have the potential to succeed and still fail, because your beliefs never allowed you to try. But when the mind changes, when limiting thoughts are replaced with empowering ones, your entire posture shifts. You start moving toward opportunities instead of away from them. You stop disqualifying yourself before the race begins. A renewed mind gives you the courage to say yes, yes to new assignments, yes to unfamiliar environments, yes to learning what you do not yet know. Yes to stepping beyond what is comfortable. The renewed mind understands that growth rarely happens in safe spaces. It recognizes that discomfort is often the doorway to development. The moment you decide to think differently, you begin to live differently. You begin to speak with intention, act with purpose, and respond with strength. You are no longer intimidated by possibility. You are drawn to it. Opportunities do not always announce themselves. They do not always arrive dressed in clarity. Sometimes they appear as challenges, as inconveniences, as disruptions. Without a renewed mind, you might reject the very thing that was meant to elevate you. You might avoid the assignment that was meant to equip you. But when your mind is renewed, you learn to look deeper. You begin to understand that opportunities often come disguised. You learn to extract meaning from moments that others overlook. You learn to discern what is growing you even when it does not feel good. A new mind also attracts new relationships. When your thinking evolves, the people who are aligned with your future begin to appear. You connect with those who challenge you, inspire you, and elevate your perspective. You are no longer content to surround yourself with voices that affirm your limitations. Instead, you seek voices that amplify your potential. Your circle changes. Your conversations change. You stop speaking about what you cannot do and start speaking about what you are preparing to do. When your mind expands, your actions follow. You begin to take steps that once scared you. You fill out the application, you make the call, you launch the idea. You initiate the conversation. You confront the obstacle. You start believing that your future is not determined by where you began, but by where you are willing to go. The renewed mind does not wait for opportunity. It creates it. It finds ways to grow, advance, and contribute wherever it stands. Even setbacks look different through a renewed mind. The challenges that once discouraged you now instruct you. Failure becomes feedback, delay becomes preparation, detours become direction. You stop interpreting every closed door as rejection and start seeing some doors as protection. You recognize that opportunity is not just about timing. It is about readiness. A renewed mind stays ready. It remains flexible, teachable, and willing to evolve. A changed mind elevates your standards. It pushes you to seek excellence instead of mediocrity. It compels you to break old cycles, abandon old excuses, and pursue possibilities that once felt unreachable. You stop waiting for someone to choose you and start choosing yourself. You stop asking for permission to grow and start commanding your space in the world. You begin to walk with a quiet confidence that tells life, I am prepared for more. The most powerful shift happens when you realize that opportunity is not an external blessing. It is an internal unlocking. The moment your mind changes, your life opens. New thinking gives birth to new choices. New choices lead to new paths, and new paths lead to new destinations. A renewed mind is a reservoir of potential. It is the birthplace of innovation, imagination, and transformation. Once you allow your mind to change, there is no limit to what you can become, what you can build, and where you can go.